Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Sid Warrior Podcast. This conversation is unlike any other that I've had. A while ago, I traveled to Goa to meet one of my favorite content creators, Larissa Jha. She is a traveler, she's a dancer, she's an artist, she's a skateboarder. Every few days, I learn something else that this person does. She's one of my favorite human beings. And this conversation was so good. We met at a restaurant that she owns, and this podcast was shot at one of the best backgrounds that I've ever had for a conversation. We spoke about so many things, about neuroscience, about mental health, about the importance of waking up early, and how you can maintain your fitness while having a difficult schedule. I really love this conversation. I hope you enjoyed as well. See you on the other side.
Hey everyone, what's up? This is Siddharth and welcome to Goa.
Thank you.
And we are going to be answering, in fact, Siddharth is going to be answering a lot of your questions related to science, how the brain works, and a lot of things around it. I'm very excited, and so should you. So let's get into the video. Okay, so this conversation is going to be like super candid. This is the first time we are actually meeting.
Yes.
And we've only met for like half an hour already.
Yeah.
And Siddharth has already been decoding my behavior.
Yeah. When other people do it, it's called judging. When I do it, it's decoding.
He's
That's
decoding me. Yeah. But I've been so curious about a lot of things lately. Mm-hmm. And in fact, after watching a lot of his Instagram reels and videos, I've been so curious to actually speak to him. And I'm so excited that we get to do this today.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I would start with my first question.
Go for it.
We have this page called 4 a.m. with Larissa. It's about like self-development, about waking up early. It started with waking up early, but basically it's about self-development and how waking up early can change so many things in life. In fact, people ask me, has 4 a.m. helped you like doing these things around you? Has it helped you in achieving all these things in your life? Yeah. And where I usually say yes, but I have no actual answer to it.
Yeah.
So can you help us with how does waking up early or particularly waking up at 4 a.m. helps the brain to function in a certain way to achieve things in life?
So our body has a biological clock.
Okay.
And that clock can be reset. You can make it slow, you can make it fast.
Okay.
So there's something called entrainment, which is basically you are hooking on you're hooking your body's clock onto something external.
Okay.
Okay? So the more connected we are to the world, the more entrained we are.
Oh.
So you can entrain yourself to music. You can entrain yourself to a particular beat.
Okay.
There are people who entrain themselves when they are studying, they entrain their attention to sound. So certain people can study better when they're listening to songs. So that beat is going on.
Oh, wow.
You may have noticed that people exercise better when there's a quick music going on in the background. So that's why gyms
true.
have all those. So our relationship with time and how the day cycles through is very connected to the world. We are not independent of the world. So when the sun goes up and down, that is a cyclical rhythm. So if we entrain ourselves to that cycle, it becomes easier for the body.
Got it.
This is the simplest way of explaining it. Of course, there's a lot of neurochemistry under it.
Okay.
But when we hook our brain's cycle to sunrise and sunset, everything else falls into a much more smoother pattern. So if you have a chaotic sleeping pattern, like you wake up one day at 10, one day at 12, one day at 7, then it's chaos. So your body has to kind of figure out everything every day. So it's really useful if you have
Mind is blown.
Yeah.
I actually this is the actual reason why our parents ask us to sleep on time.
Yeah.
Sleep on time, wake up on time is actually a thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Larissa, every single proverb, right?
Yeah.
That you've heard while growing up.
Yeah.
The rest of your life is just about figuring out why it's true.
That's so true.
I mean, early to bed, early to rise. We have been hearing this for all our lives.
Early to bed and early to rise is the way to be healthy and wealthy and wise.
Yep.
Healthy, wealthy and wise. It's so
all
true.
Three.
All three. That's actually so true. Oh my God. First question and I'm already mind blown. I think my mind is going to go into the fields now any moment.
Go ahead.
But
we have to take care of her. Okay, this is a dangerous conversation.
Ouch. Okay. Anyway, I think I've got a very clearer picture to this whole thing.
Yeah.
Another question would be something related to our lifestyle, How is working out every day people work out for 5 days a week. People work out for 4 days a week, 3 days a week.
Yeah.
But I feel there is a particular movement that's supposed to happen every day. And that's very important for, like I wake up in the morning and if I don't work out, I feel very lethargic. I don't feel good.
Sure.
What is the reason behind that?
So we are actually wired to be working out a lot more than we are. Our body is wired to be doing much more work than we are actually doing. So in the last 50, 100 years, all of progress, if you think about it, has been aimed at making you moving lesser and lesser.
Oh my God, yes, that's what technology is about.
Correct. So everything that we associate comfort with is actually making you move less. Everything. So everything where you have to move is considered as, let's change this. Let's get some technology to replace this. But our body has not changed.
That's true.
So in every level, we are not really moving as much. So we are consuming more and we are moving less. And that builds up. I love that. That was so
God.
appropriate.
Literally.
Like, tell me more how we should eat less.
Consuming more and doing less. I'm like, oh my God.
It's okay. It's alright. It's fine.
It's a strawberry, so it's good.
It's alright.
It's an antioxidant, right?
No, yeah. It's got a lot of benefits. No, the point is not to eat less. Like, I'm not telling anybody to eat less. That's a different conversation.
True.
But the point is to move more. You have to move more.
That's true.
Overall. And so if you are in the habit of working out, what it actually does is it trains your body to know that there is a reason to store energy to spend here. I'll give you one chemical name. Don't freak out. Because people freak out when they hear too much biology. They were like, the whole reason I didn't take biology in college was because I didn't want to learn stuff like this.
Okay.
There's a term called BDNF.
BDNF.
Yeah.
Okay.
The full form is brain-derived neurotropic factor.
Okay.
It's a chemical. It's
Okay.
a small molecule. In the brain, every time you learn something new, like Cairo is the capital of Egypt, how do you store that memory? You need this molecule to make that new piece of information stick to your brain. So it's like the cement.
Got it.
And if there's no BDNF, then I'm putting it very simply, but if there's no BDNF, those new pieces of information won't stick. It'll just go away.
Oh, so you need BDNF to keep your memories intact.
To make new memories.
To make new memories.
To get better at learning.
Oh.
And what do you think exercise does? It increases BDNF levels.
Okay.
So you actually get better at learning if you are exercising every day.
That's so good. So if you're exercising every day, if your movement is enough every day, if there's workout involved every day, your learning increases.
Yes.
Your brain gets faster.
Yes.
I mean,
it gets better. It gets more efficient.
It's much more efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and that's the reason even my day looks better. You get things done better when you're exercising. Life gets better, in fact.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of endorphins that come out, especially running. There's a term called runner's high.
Yeah, that's true.
So after you've had like a half an hour, 40-minute run, people actually get the same kind of trip that some druggies might feel after a kick. So you get addicted to it, and it's a good addiction. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
That's very good. Yeah, like I think. ठीक है, need to just exercise more to, I think, learn more things, right? I think that's the reason even like entrepreneurs and people who are like constantly like achieving things, they need to work out every day. They're into meditation, they're into exercise. They make it a point, it becomes a lifestyle. And that is the reason we all say that exercise should be a lifestyle and not like a thing that you choose, right?
It's not something you should force yourself, because it's something that should come naturally to you. And I feel like there is one exercise routine that is there for everyone.
That's right.
So what is it for you?
I think just walking a lot in the day, like a lot of movement in the day is what is very important for me. That's one reason I love Goa, because I think even in Goa, there's a lot of movement happening throughout the day. Yeah, even in my house, there's a lot of movement happening. There's a lot of wide spaces here. In Bombay, here, I was confined to one apartment. So there, my movement is zero. Literally, say 200 to 300 steps in a day.
Correct.
If I'm not going and working out. So I think that is movement for me every day is what is important. It could be dance, it could be like longboarding, it could be skateboarding, it could be surfing, it could be actually going to the gym and working out, lifting weights, but there has to be movement.
I love that point that you raised. So I'm from Kerala. I go there 3-4 times a year, and I realize that there is immediate difference in the steps that I take without being conscious of it. Because we just walk from one house to another, we go to the temples, we just go for a walk in the evening.
Exactly.
And वो हो जाता है. And Bombay में गलती से exercise नहीं होता.
Exactly. गलती से तो बिल्कुल नहीं होता.
That's what. And the more we get closer to nature, गलती से बहुत exercise हो जाता है.
Wow. Okay, that actually, like, there is a question that arises in my head when you say nature. Why is it that life, it is a fact, I mean, you know, I don't say it because I stay here. Why is it that when you're in nature, things get better, and when you're in the city, things are much more like, you know, it's just fast paced, but you're tired? Why is that?
Well, there's a lot of reasons for this actually, because this question has many layers. But for me, I think the most important thing is your value system.
Okay.
Apart from all the other factors of pollution and stress related to your work, all these are variables. But I think the most important thing is that when you're, say, in a village and you've been here for a year, 2 years, your value system changes. The things that you place importance to changes.
That's true.
So what makes you happy? Just an evening out here in a place like this having chai, that gives me all the pleasure in the world. Suddenly life becomes simpler.
The simpler things, I think, are the nicest.
And difficult to find that kind of peace in a city because everything around you is wired in such a way as to make you want more, right? You want the bigger car, the bigger house, you want all those things, and so you're always stuck in that
That's
cycle.
very true. You know, that makes me ask you another question. Since we're talking about like village life and city life, you know, we hear so many things about this on the internet about vibes, you know. Oh, I don't like the vibe of this person. I don't like the energy of this person. Or you go to a nice restaurant, you're like, oh, the vibe of this place is great. And more than, when you say vibe, when you say vibrations, it's more like much more spiritual. But when you say energy, it's much more scientific.
Sure.
I want to know, like, what's the actual reasoning behind energy around people and energy around a space. I've heard that it's very much related to the energy you exude. You know, what is it?
So for me, these are terminologies that we have come up with to try and explain something we don't completely understand.
That's right.
Right? So if I look at a person and I'm trying to guess their vibe, what I'm actually doing is I'm trying to decode them into maybe 100,000 variables. And my brain is constantly analyzing all of it. But I don't have the processing power to define each small thing. And so I put it all together and say vibe.
Wow.
Okay. So like I've met you half an hour ago. What's your vibe? Immediately, I instinctively know, but I cannot decode how I came to that conclusion. It is a mixture of your eye contact, your body language, the words that you said, how comfortable you made me feel, did you ignore me, were you friendly, all these different variables. If I were to take separately, I can describe, but then all of it comes together and there's a word called vibe. Right? Essentially, am I threatened by you? No, then it's positive. Not yet.
Not yet?
So that's how the brain works. If you meet somebody new, is that a threat? No? Okay. Now I can approach.
Wow.
And if I can approach, then how should my relationship be? Our brain is constantly calculating. Every word you say is changing my decision. So the vibe is constantly changing as you meet someone new. And it is actually like this huge algorithm that your brain goes through.
Oh my God. So every time you meet a person, the vibe is different around that person, and that's how you accumulate it and you make an overall vibe of the person.
Vibe of that person, correct. Because this is the most important factor in social structures. If I meet someone new, imagine you're a tribal, like a hunter-gatherer.
Got it.
I meet someone new, the better my brain is at figuring out your vibe, the better my chance of survival. Because how else could I know? Like, would you kill me? And if you kill me, then that's terrible. So my brain has to get really good at figuring out someone's vibe.
Wow. So, you know, Siddharth, I know you answer all our questions. So I want to ask you a question about yourself. about your self-development, about your personal growth. You have an answer to everything. So when you know the reasoning behind everything that goes wrong in life or goes right in life, how is it to deal with it? Like, when you say ki ignorance is bliss, but here you know the answer to everything. So how does that work?
Okay, so that's not really true, first of all. And the reason I know it's not true is because every time I sit to read new research articles, which is almost every day, every few minutes I learn something that blows my mind a little bit.
Okay.
So definitely do not know everything. It's not a possible state of mind. You are always too late to the party at some field of knowledge.
That's very true.
Always. There is so much being discovered. There's so much being, new ways of looking at reality that you're always changing.
That's right.
And I love it because that's how life is interesting.
That's true.
You keep on evolving.
That's true.
What I do try and do is to spot conflicts and try to solve them as well as I can with the knowledge that I have. So I'm very sure that in 100 years, a lot of things that we are talking about right now will be talked about in a different way. So the answer that I gave about entrainment and the biological clock, the answer I gave about exercise. So today I said BDNF. 100 years later, there would be a completely new set of terminologies that would describe this in
Correct.
a much better way.
Correct.
And they will look at our conversation and think, oh man, these guys didn't know anything.
Oh my God.
And that is fine. I feel like that is how science should grow.
And it evolves.
It does. So the point is not to be eternally right.
Correct.
The point is to be as right as you can be in this moment.
That's true. So one thing that we are all interested in, and I think one thing we all relate to, is relationships. And I want to know how being in a relationship affects our mind neurologically. What is it about falling in love that changes how we wire things in our head? Why is it that a heartbreak actually hurts when we know? I think we ourselves don't have answers to this.
Yeah. So I'll tell you one thing.
Okay, just give us an overview of how relationships work in our mind.
Yeah. We are not wired to be alone. Let's just put it out there. That doesn't mean...
I feel so happy. I thought I was going to die alone.
No.
Okay.
Like, I'm not talking about just romantic relationships.
Yeah.
Like, in general, human beings are wired to feed off each other linguistically, socially. We look at each other for cues. Like, if you enter a room, how do you know how to behave? You look at other people. Immediately. A child, like an infant newborn, will look at the mother's expression, the father's expression. They will learn everything by looking at each other. Everything that we know, everything that you are is actually picked up from somewhere.
Got it.
Right? And mixed and rematched.
Correct.
So we are always trying to get things from each other and to improve ourselves. A romantic relationship takes this same concept and takes it to another level. Like it is a normal relationship but condensed. So all the learning happens faster. All the pain points happen faster. So everything that is happening in a normal friendship happens in a romantic relationship, but at a
deeper
100x
level.
Scale. Correct.
Okay, because I think you're connected with more senses.
Yeah.
Your senses are much more connected to each other. So I think that is the reason, because you're physically connected.
Yeah.
You're emotionally connected. With friends, you're emotionally connected, yes, but not at that level.
Not at that level.
And in a romantic relationship, obviously you're connected in a much more physical connection, and I think that connection is so much more intense than just emotional connection, and I think that's why you experience more.
It is.
That's why it hurts more. Like if a friend leaves me tomorrow, I'll be like sad, but when a boyfriend leaves me, I will be like much more sad.
You'd be like, tattoo kyun kiya yaar?
Okay, editor, please ये नहीं डालो, ये मत डालो. Okay.
No, I'll tell you something really cool that I read.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Right now, I'm holding this phone. My body knows that this phone is not a part of me.
Okay.
Right? Because I can put down this phone. When I fall in love, my brain, my identity ends here. Correct? When I'm in love, my identity expands to include a whole other person.
Wow.
So to the brain, where you end actually changes when you are in love.
That's why you say you have become a part of me.
Yes. Literally.
Ah.
So for your brain, if you see your loved one getting hurt, you get hurt because, ouch, you hurt me, myself. Which is also why a breakup hurts, because it's literally like somebody's cutting off a part of you.
And that person as well.
And that person. So that you have lost a part of you.
OMG.
So that's, it is, you know what empathy is?
Yes.
Love is empathy 100x. Where you can feel what they're feeling, you can dream what they're dreaming, you can, they're a part of you now.
Okay.
Which is also why love can get toxic, by the way, because now it's like ownership. You are a part of me, so that means I own you, which is the dark side of love.
Okay, so I think toxicity also is synonymous to like being, like having a sort of an ownership, but subconsciously.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that makes so much sense. Yeah. So toxicity is equal to subconsciously feeling protective and owning the person.
Yeah, that it comes from a place of protection. It comes from a place of just love. But the thing is that human beings have the capacity to change the story in whatever way we want.
Okay.
So just because I feel connected to someone actually does not mean that I own them. They are their own person. They can make their own choices. They have their own free will, so to speak. But if I forget that, for fuck's sake.
Okay, go.
Dude, who hurt you?
Okay, we have this Pao guy who's always like honking whenever we talk about relationships. Anyway, yeah, go on. Go on.
Okay. That's why it hurts.
Hurts, love hurts.
Love hurts.
Full stop.
Baby, don't hurt me. That's the whole point, right? What is love?
Oh, so you're actually like being like...
It's a part of you, yeah.
Yeah, that's why they become part of you. I think I have one more last question.
Yes.
It's about empathy and how consciously... I read this about being consciously empathetic and... I don't know, I can't remember it. But it's like you empathize with someone and then you consciously empathize with someone and then it affects you so much.
Yeah.
You know, what is that about? I feel empathy can be also toxic to your own self.
Wow.
When you empathize with everyone around you, you feel the pain of anybody.
Yeah.
You know, it could be a stranger and you'll be like, I empathize. I have sympathy for this person, okay.
Yeah.
But I empathize with this person. Could be a person passing by, like, you know, someone who's hurt. And then you empathize with this person and you feel hurt.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Empathy has a lot of evolutionary advantage.
Okay.
Because if you see somebody fall into a ditch,
Yeah.
you don't have to fall into a ditch to feel or to know that this is painful.
Okay.
So that means that you have learned that you should not fall into a ditch just by looking at somebody else. If you didn't have empathy, you might not have learned that.
Okay.
So that's the reason why when somebody else goes through pain and you can see them crying, you feel pain.
Okay.
So that's your brain's way of learning without actually having to go through that experience.
Oh, so but if you're empathetic, that means you are learning through people's actions.
Correct.
Without going through their pain.
Through that experience.
So you're evolving anyway.
Correct. It's like mind reading.
Exactly.
Empathy is the closest thing that we have to mind reading.
Correct.
So the more empathetic I am, when I look at you and small facial expression changes, if I'm very empathetic, I know, oh, Larissa's not happy. Oh, Larissa's happy. So it's that small little thing I get to pick up. And so you don't need to tell me.
Yeah, I think empathy, I've looked at it as a pro and a con because I feel I'm very like highly empathetic. So, you know, even if in the house we are like say 5 people and if one person is upset, I feel the energy in the house and I feel like really sad suddenly and I'm like something is wrong, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that affects me. But I think what you've given, the point you've stated is very good. I think I will look at it in a very different way now. My perspective towards it will be very different. That I get to learn about that pain through that person, but not experience it like directly.
Exactly. I mean, it is a little bit of a detached way of looking at empathy because there is a advantage to you in being empathetic. The problem is if it stops you from functioning, if it paralyzes you. You're so empathetic that it stops your work. Which is what doctors face, believe it or not. Because doctors have to be empathetic.
Correct.
They have to feel their patient's pain. But what if a doctor is so empathetic that every time a patient is in pain, he starts to cry?
Ouch.
the patient does not want the doctor to cry over his pain. He
But
wants
understand.
the treatment, right? So you have to be empathetic enough to understand, but not so empathetic that you are paralyzed.
So I think me and Siddharth, we've had such a great conversation. In fact, we've been talking for more than an hour and we've had the best time. I've known so much. In fact, we're going to continue our conversation after this. I have so many questions to ask. And I feel
We'll get it to Bombay, guys. We'll get it to Bombay.
Yeah, and I have so much clarity over so many things. And I feel I hope this was a nice way for a layman and a neurologist to connect and explain things to you in a much simpler way.
Yeah.
I mean, you already do it, but I think this was great.
I love it. So conversations are a great way of teaching
Explaining.
to explain. Absolutely.
Wow, see?
So it's
There is a
amazing.
reason. There is a reason. Conversations are better to explain. Anyway, thank you so much, Siddharth, for being in Goa and for doing this video with me.
Yeah.
I hope you had a good time.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. I'm so glad I managed to come here. We managed to meet.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We did. Thank you so much. A high five to the both of us.
Cheers.
Thank you guys for watching. This is me, Larsa, and this is Siddharth signing off.